it's just gonna suck. It's just gonna be warm.
Yeah, just apologize for the humming or sweating.
Alright fam, this is my friend Joe. Say hi Joe. We are in my car and it is really hot. But we are doing this for you guys. Right Joe?
Right, 88 degrees, we're loving it.
Yeah, it is 88 degrees. And you guys are gonna hear the blower motor thingy, whatever, and I'm sorry, but we need to be cool.
You need to answer your questions.
We need to answer your questions. So I figured we would start out by telling maybe a little bit about yourself. I'll start. My name's Alyssa. If you guys are new, make sure you're subscribed. Hit that like button. If you don't know, I work on a med-surg step-down unit. It's like intermediate care. We have some drips, and I work on night shift.
I'm Joe. I'm also a nurse, obviously. I'm in the float pool, we call it, so I kind of go all over the hospital and work on all different floors on the PM shifts. It's a pretty good gig for those of you that don't know what you like and you'd like to see everything. So
I couldn't do float. Nope.
Pretty fun.
So Joe and I actually met through our residency program, which is what we had today. Well, actually onboarding, which is basically the same thing.
Yeah.
We graduated at your December grad, right?
Mm-hmm.
We graduated at the same time, so I think that's just how we met. We sat by each other the first day, and it's just been friends since, I guess.
It's been great.
It's been lovely. This poor guy's had to put up with me this whole time. Without further ado, we will just get into some of these questions. I will preface with saying that there's no way we're going to be able to get to all of your questions. There are a lot of questions, and they're all amazing. Thank you guys for asking them, but we're sorry if we don't answer all of them. Should we just address the elephant in the room here, Joe?
Sure. Which elephant? There's a lot of them.
Is Joe single?
Yes.
Joe is
yes,
single.
I am. Yep.
But I highly doubt you guys live in Wisconsin. But yes, Joe is single.
Thanks for the enthusiasm. Appreciate it.
There were a few of them. All right, are any of your coworkers also suffering with the night shift blues, as I call it? We probably should have said that you also work PMs.
I think I said that with my introduction.
Did you? Probably. I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah.
I think the new grads, myself with the other, well, one of the new grads already quit, so there's your answer for that. I think, yes, I think people adjust to it better, and the people that have been doing it for longer don't struggle with it, and they love it, but the new grads, yes. Someone asked, what do you think of community colleges for nursing, yay or nay? I think yay.
I went to a tech school. I shouldn't say only. I have an associate's, and it's the same exact thing. I work at the same place Alyssa does. We're doing the same exact work.
I honestly wish that I would have gone the ADN route first, because it is a lot cheaper. You can start working a lot sooner. Like I saw another person ask like how long it took me to get my BSN. It took me almost 6 years because I took a semester off, had a baby, whatever. I wish I would have gone the ADN route. I think that it absolutely is a great way to get a degree, and you can always get your BSN online when you're working. So I say yay. How soon to start applying for jobs before graduation? When did you start?
I think I started like 2 weeks before graduation because I don't know. I'm superstitious, so I wanted to.
You're nervous?
I wanted to know. I wanted to know I was going to graduate, and I felt like applying way before would have jinxed my chances.
You haven't.
It didn't.
I would say that I started, I think the first position I applied for was like 2 months before, but I really seriously started applying a month before graduation, and I secured the job that I have now before graduation. Did you as well?
No, I think I got this after. It was like right after, but
like in December, yeah.
Yeah.
So I would say 1 to 2 months, or if you're like Joe, wait it out. Do you?
Yep.
Maybe you could answer this. Did you do anything in high school to prepare for becoming a nurse? I did not. I didn't know I wanted to be a nurse back in my high school days.
I just took prereqs to help with college. What are they called?
I don't know. Are you talking about like the AP courses? Or
not AP courses.
I don't know.
Just like anatomy and physiology.
Oh,
so
yeah.
College credits. Basically.
Oh, okay.
So I wouldn't have to pay for them in college.
Joe is a lot younger than me, so he's been in high school a lot more recently than I have. So he's better with that stuff. I don't know. Michaela asked, are you going to quit your job? Because in a video you were saying that you were looking for I'm assuming you said job. I have been looking for a job. I don't want to work night shift. That's basically why I covered that. I wouldn't say I'm necessarily going to quit my job, but I'm looking for a day shift position, and yeah. Are you going to quit your job?
No.
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 Somebody asked, is nursing worth it? I want to say yes. I'm going to say it is. There are so many avenues of nursing. I feel like I've answered this recently. There's so much you can do with nursing, and if you're unhappy in one small avenue of nursing, you can move on and try something else. So,
Yeah.
that's my 2 cents.
We were just having this conversation though about one of our speakers were like, there's a lot of nuts, and I thought of this, it's really stupid, but I thought of this
It's
trail
not
mix.
stupid.
I thought of this trail mix
Analogy
example.
or whatever.
Yeah, analogy. And nursing is a lot like trail mix, where there's a lot of nuts, so there's a lot of crazy days. But every now and then, every handful, you get like a raisin or you get an M&M, and it just, like, it makes it sweet and it makes it good. But if you actually think what like a nut is, it's something that's going to build you. Just professionally, it's going to make you a better nurse. So yeah, it's worth it. Say it's something you don't want to do, at least now you know that you can deal with a lot more than you originally thought. And that's what nursing is. So
Preach. That was you didn't even want to answer that one. That was a really good answer. That was a really good answer. You didn't want to answer that.
It's too open-ended.
It is. Amelia in Scrubs asks, would you say nursing is not for someone who deals with lots of anxiety? I've answered this definitely before, and you can chime in if you would like. I definitely, if you struggle with like panic disorder before you even start as a nurse, I do not think that it is a very good career path for you, because it is a very challenging and anxiety-provoking profession as a new nurse on its own. So if you really struggle, I think it could just make it worse. What do you think?
I say it depends on the type of anxiety. The
It's
reason
just
I say
a little
that,
bit. Like,
well, not even that. Like, you can have a lot of anxiety and be a very high-functioning, anxious person. But I think a lot of the time, depending on your coping mechanisms with your anxiety, I think that can help a lot with your patients, because you can be more empathetic with them to help them through their struggles. Because if you're in a hospital or you're anywhere that's not home, you're anxious. I mean,
right.
Nobody wants to be there. So I think if you can channel your anxiety to help them, I think that's beneficial. But I mean, if you have panic attacks, if you get overwhelmed, our whole careers were going to be spent being overwhelmed. So it's a tough call.
Yeah, it's kind of your own. You're going to have to kind of make that decision yourself. If you, like Joe said, if you have good coping mechanisms, because I struggle with anxiety and I do okay. You know, it doesn't affect me, but if I feel like if it's debilitating, that you should probably, and that's not just nursing, that's really anything, you really should just try to work through that.
Yeah.
Becca asks, what do you use to help keep you awake and alert when the 4 a.m. exhaustion hits on night shift? I just try to stay busy. Really, there's nothing you can do. Coffee if you have to. You just truck through. Joe has done some night shifts, but not very many.
Yeah.
Have you?
Usually there's like a 2:30 a.m. dip.
I think mine's like 3.
Yeah.
Depends on the night. If it's busy, then you don't
have a cup of coffee,
have
enjoy
time.
yourself. That's what you gotta do.
A lot of people ask like what I do to stay awake. Honestly, there have been times where I'll be charting, walking around. That's very, very rare. I've literally done that twice since I've been a nurse. And that's like if you get one of those, I don't want to say the word, but in a more manageable night, we'll say. Manageable. Someone asks, how do you deal with patients that only want male or female nurses? Do you have any situations being a male? You think, and I'll talk about mine. I have one situation. I had one male patient who had an issue with his business. I don't know how else to, like, I don't want to use anatomically correct terms either. But basically, he had a very personal issue, and he wanted a male nurse to look at it. Unfortunately, I was what he got because we didn't have any male nurses on that night, and I just kind of explained to him. It's so hard because it's like, you don't know how to tell them, like, I hate to break it to you, but this is not the first time I've seen this, you know, but you try to do it in like an empathetic way. But, you know, I think just explaining like, you know, it's no big deal, and just trying to make them comfortable is what's most important if you don't have that resource. Otherwise, if you do obviously have a male or a female nurse, then obviously, then maybe it's definitely more appropriate.
Yeah.
Have you had any problems?
I mean, because I've been in the healthcare field for like 4.5, 5 years already. And I mean, I get used, like, if a female doesn't want me as like a caregiver, it's not like, oh, it's not my heart isn't broken over that. But I mean, if it comes to a moment where there's nobody else that's available, it's easier to just say, hey, I know this isn't comfortable for you, and kind of bring a different light about it. And sometimes it's the eyes in the room. The more eyes looking at the patient, the more anxiety they're going to get and the more they're not going to want you. But in all actuality, they're just kind of worried that everybody's looking at them weird.
Right. Even though we're not, because we've seen it all, really.
Yeah.
Even in our 6 or 7 months. I mean, anatomically speaking, we've seen it all. I hope I'm getting my drift across appropriately.
Yeah.
Somebody asked how to boost your confidence in the moment.
So I get a lot of my motivation from a man called Jocko Willink, and one thing I've really learned from him, I listen to like all his podcasts, big fan. And one thing he stresses is when you're rushed with a bunch of things, you need to just simply detach from that moment. And basically what that means is you need to look from the outside in. So say you have a lot going on, or say you're at a code and like you don't know what to do with your hands and you're panicking and you just, like your brain freezes, and that's an initial reflex, like you don't know what to do. So usually what I do is I just take a deep breath, look at everything around me, and just kind of prioritize what I need to do to get, because really it's usually just a simple thing that needs to be done that gets the task over with or gives you the proper confidence to get the thing done. It's not rocket science. You just need to take a breath, look at everything around you, and just take a step towards what you know needs to be done. And that's it.
I just try to, like if it's a skill, for example, I just try to look at the policy, prepare myself, ask someone else how to do it, and fake it till you make it. Within reason. Obviously, you're not going to go do something you truly don't know how to do, but you just have to fake the confidence part. So, that's what I do. Someone asked, do you suggest doing night shift for a new nurse? Do you learn a lot at night? I do suggest it. I think it's difficult if you have children, but yes, I would say that you do learn a lot at night. What about PMs?
You learn a lot everywhere.
That's true.
You're a fresh mind, and you're going into this whole new world. It doesn't matter what shift you're on, you're going to have to adapt. It's just, you're going to learn a lot anywhere you go.
I should say you may have more downtime at night to learn, I guess is more where I was coming from. But yeah, you're right.
You get to
I'm going to learn a lot on days, absolutely.
Yeah, just appreciate it.
What type of sneakers do you wear in the hospital? I'm in desperate needs for new ones. I have a pair of Danskos, and I also just wear an old pair of running shoes.
I just have Nikes. I don't know. They were on sale, so I bought them.
That's a good answer.
Yeah.
You just need some decent shoes. It doesn't need to be rocket science.
Yeah.
It's fine. Here's a good one. Did you ever experience nurses eat their young when you started? I did not.
No.
No. We work with a very, I can't attest to the other units, but my unit in particular, we work with a very supportive team. Absolutely.
I don't know if that's a thing anymore.
It is a thing. People leave comments about how it's a thing.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, but it's not a thing with us.
I think it can happen if you show disinterest or weakness. Like, everybody knows you're only as strong as your weakest link on the team. But if you understand that you don't know everything and you go in and ask meaningful questions and ask for people to explain something to you instead of being like a scared dog, it's kind of like, I think then the culture is a lot better. But yeah, the people we work with are pretty awesome.
Yeah, we are really, really lucky in that respect. I feel like you have to stand your ground if you're treated like that, or honestly explore other opportunities, because life is too short to work in that type of environment.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sarita asked, how hard is it, this is probably more for me since you don't have 2 babies.
That's true.
How hard is it to balance kids, school, hubby, and housework? Let me tell you, my house is not really very clean. It sucks. It's survival mode. You just do the best that you can, and just don't be hard on yourself, and teamwork with your partner. I have a whole video, I'll link it right here. I have a whole video about how I went through school with kids and my husband and all that stuff. So go check it out. Would you consider school or work as a nurse to be harder? That's a good question. I think work as a nurse is harder.
Definitely.
I definitely thought nursing school was harder, but honestly, the transition of being a nurse has been harder on my family.
Just for me, I really like school. It's just easier to prioritize your time in school. Because when you're in school, it's school and work, at least for me.
Yeah.
So it was school, went to work, did homework. And it's just...
Well, and you don't have a license in school, so you don't have to bear the responsibility. So do you have that added stress as a nurse?
I think it's, I'd rather be a nurse instead of go back to school. Like, I'm glad I made it, but I wouldn't do it again.
Right, it's hard.
Yeah.
Well, don't say it like that, because then people are gonna think that they shouldn't be nurses. Just kidding.
Be a nurse.
And how do I manage family time now that I'm working? Honestly, like I said, I do my best. You make the most out of the time that you do have. My friend, Nurse Liz, you guys probably know who Nurse Liz is. This is a question for you. Is working with Alyssa as magical as I assume it would be?
It's fun.
That's a long pause, Joe.
Really, it's just nice being able to work with, like, your friends. Mm-hmm. Just because it makes, honestly, like, you get a second wind when you know you have a good group coming on.
That is
true. And I'd say, I wouldn't, like, magical, that's just a weird word. But,
Don't call my friend weird.
But it's fun. It's fun. You have to have fun during work.
It is nice too, because like we're both new grads, and that's really honestly probably how, like, the foundation of our friendship is. We both kind of realized through talking, like, hey, how is it going? Hey, it's a little challenging right now, and like we pretty much bonded over that. So it's really nice, at least for me, like when I see you, I'm just like, Joe, help.
Grab the tissues.
Do we have LPNs in the U.S.? And if so, what are their duties? I don't really know. We do have one LPN, but they typically in the hospital setting, LPNs work
in the U.S.?
Yeah.
Yeah, we have LPNs.
Yeah, I would say LPNs are more in clinic settings. We do have one on our unit. She functions as a tech. Well, here's a question for you. How do you feel about the term nurse?
I don't know. I feel it's not stigmatized or anything. It's like I've
never heard anybody call you a nurse.
No.
I don't think any of the guys, even like when I was in nursing school, I don't think they were called nurses. I don't know if that's, is that even really an actual thing?
It is an actual thing, but
is it?
Yeah. A male nurse, if you want to.
I just call him Joe, like, Joe's way easier than nurse.
Yeah, I agree.
Talk about the struggles of being a new nurse.
The learning curve sucked.
I was definitely, I think not being prepared for the learning curve sucked. I did not realize how little we knew until I started working as a nurse.
Well, I mean, coming out of school, I was prepared.
Ish.
No,
you prepared in the sense that you have a foundation.
Yeah, it's just applying the things well, trying to manage all these other things. It's like in school, you go through clinicals and you have like one patient, right? And then they're like, oh, by the way, your first week, here's 4 patients, and you're just kind of like, whoa.
Yeah.
It's a little scary.
It is, but honestly, I'm not gonna lie, I don't know if I can't speak for you, but it was definitely challenging for me, but I definitely probably within the past 2 months, I feel way more comfortable in my role as a nurse. The first few months absolutely were very rocky, and just be prepared for that, because I feel like my nursing school totally did not prepare for that. Not even a little bit, but you really can't prepare for it. So are there any struggles being a male nurse?
No.
This person said that their fellow male nursing students experience discrimination because of their gender. Have you experienced that?
Discrimination?
Yeah.
I mean, nurses are primarily female, but I don't think that holds anybody back from doing anything. It's just, if you feel like it is a setback, it's going to be a setback, and if you think it isn't, which it isn't, it's going to be fine.
As a new nurse, how do you go about asking questions without feeling like you're bugging the experienced nurses on your unit? We work with such a great team, and obviously it does suck. Like, I don't ask as many questions now, but I did ask a lot of questions when I first started, and you do feel like you're bugging them, but honestly, like Joe said, you're only as strong as your weakest link, so everybody that we work with is very supportive, and even if they might be internally a little bit annoyed because they have their own things going on, they're always really helpful about it. And don't ever let that feeling overwhelm you to where you don't ask a question, because that is when bad things happen.
Yeah.
Do you feel weird asking people questions?
No, it's usually just, hey, can you help me with this? And a lot of people, 99% of people are like, yeah, not a problem. Mm-hmm. And then if you have a question that you need answered in the moment, I usually say, like, help me explain this, instead of like, what do I do? It's help me explain why this is this way or why this isn't this way, that kind of thing.
Is working as a registered nurse how you thought it would be? Yes and no.
I'd say yes. Yeah.
You think so? I'd say yes and no. Joe's answer is yes.
Yeah.
So that's good.
Just straight up.
I don't know if I want to elaborate. Do you?
It's hard to elaborate on that question. I mean,
yeah,
because everybody experiences their own thing. So, I mean, everybody has this idea in their head, but if it's not up to their standards, then that's their prerogative.
Someone just said, any tips for someone thinking about becoming a nurse and thinking of starting school in your late 20s? I was in my late 20s when I went to school. Like, don't let anything hold you back. Like, if you want to become a nurse, become a nurse. Like, that's it and that's all. You have a dream, whether it's being a nurse or being a doctor, like, who cares how old you are? Like, go on with your bad self.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I feel. That's what I did. I was, 27, 28 when I started school.
I went to school with every age, yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't matter. You do it.
Yeah. If you have a passion, just follow it.
So somebody said, did you always want to be a nurse, or was it something you felt pushed to do because of how so many people are going for nursing these days? I ask this because my class is filled with these kinds that think once they are done, they will live this lavish lifestyle. I did not become a nurse for the money, if that's the question. And secondly, I would not say that being a nurse leads to a lavish lifestyle. No. I feel like anybody that's leading a lavish lifestyle, a lot of the times that's show, honest to God. A lot of people are just
I think this is like
showy.
a $10 V-neck, so...
Huh?
I mean, we wear scrubs 90% of the time.
I do see that, though. I follow some people that do present that way, that they live a lavish lifestyle. But I think I personally don't make enough money to live a lavish lifestyle, even if I didn't have all the student loans that I have. But that is unfortunately, you're going to have people that are in it more because it is a more stable income. It just is what it is. There's nothing you can do about it.
You'll live however you want to live, and you'll run into those people. And when you do, you just have to make sure that you know you're in it for the right reason.
Yeah, you really can only worry about you.
Yeah, that's up to them if they want to go for the big money. But
yeah.
I mean, if you're in it, don't worry about anybody but yourself when you're going through school.
That's just life in general, too. Like, don't worry about what other people are doing. Just focus on what's important to you. Someone just asked, like, do you deal with any body aches as a nurse? And a lot of people say that their feet hurt. Honestly, you just have to have good body mechanics. You're young, so I don't know. You're probably totally fine. But for me, I wear insoles in my shoes. You have to, like, squat when you're, as best you can when you're lifting or boosting a patient, which isn't always that easy, but you just have to be careful. Unfortunately, it is hard on your body. This spring chicken over here is fine still, though, but I do have my own back problems, so I do try to be careful with that.
Compression socks.
Yes. How could I forget?
Yeah, that's the key. That's the key.
It is the key. It definitely helps your legs not hurt. Favorite snack in the middle of the night? Anything that I can eat like that. Granola bars, really. Well, I like popcorn, too. I don't ever eat it, but it always sounds good. And toast. I smell toast in the middle of the night from people making people toast, and that sounds really good, too.
I gotta have a bowl of cereal whenever I get home. Just a big bowl of cereal.
He's at home in the middle of the night.
That's true.
Most of the time. Worst shift experience, best shift experience.
Don't even want to answer that.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
I think one of my worst shift experiences was when we had that code. That was pretty hard. That code sucked. I wouldn't say that was my worst experience. It was my first worst experience is that. And then just days where you just are there several hours later. That's hard.
That we shared that.
That code.
Yeah.
Yeah, we shared our first code together. Maybe we'll talk about that sometime.
I don't know. When stuff hits the fan, like you just need to do something about it. I
think it's fine if you have like one rough shift. It's when you have like a really tough group for like several days is when it really wears on you.
Yeah, you burn out really quick.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a tough
question. Look how rosy my cheeks are. I'm so warm. And you're just like chilling like a villain over here.
Yep, and like all black.
Best shift experience? I don't know. I don't have any. Okay, it's not really a best. It's a bittersweet. We had a patient that was on the unit for a really long time, and they weren't doing well, and I went in and just looked at the patient, made eye contact with the patient just started crying and just like sitting in there and just like holding their hand and hugging the patient and just like comforting them. They ended up passing away, but just, I don't know, it just makes me happy that I like went in and I had that time with that patient, because it was one of my favorite patients, and I think that I was one of their favorite nurses. So that's probably, it's not really a good best shift, but it's one that sticks out in my mind. So
when you get a genuine thank you, I think that's always a good shift.
Yeah. When you feel like you made a difference.
That's the M&M and the trail mix.
Yeah. Another is Joe Single.
Yep. Still am.
I have no idea when it stopped recording. That's why I stopped it before. We probably stopped a long time ago. What was both of your first day like alone? He doesn't remember. I only remember because I had a patient that had like steady rates in like the 130s, and I like, it's not even that, now it's not even that big of a deal, but I like was like freaking out, like, because I knew I had to call the doctor, and I'm like, what do I do? It was totally fine, but it's like the first time you deal with new things. Now it's like it just, you don't even have to think about it anymore. It's just fine. But it was terrifying. I'll admit it was terrifying. Did either of you work as a tech or a CNA? I did not.
I did.
I worked on the YouTubes. That was my job.
3 years. It's beautiful.
Oh, would Joe consider starting a YouTube channel?
I don't know. That's up to you guys. If you like me, tell Alyssa, and I'll consider.
Maybe I'll bring him back for another video. You guys will have to let me know if you want that too.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
So I think that's all we're gonna answer, because that is gonna take me forever to edit. I hope you guys can hear us over my blower motor, because we're still dying in here.
It's toasty.
It is toasty. Yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you, Joe, for being on this video, I guess.
Yeah, Q&A. It's a good time. It's a good time.
It's a good time. So make sure you guys subscribe, turn on those notifications so you don't miss a video. You guys enjoyed it.
Peace.
Bye. I'm gonna try to, I don't know, I think we should just try to like blow through some of these really fast, and then other ones that are maybe a little bit more appropriate for elaboration, we will.
Yeah.
So I'll say it out loud and we'll just kind of decide what we're gonna do. I don't know the specific rules. That was not helpful. I'm just gonna cut that out.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a great question.
As a female nurse, I like working with male nurses because that is just too much estrogen floating around. How do you feel when you come on and it's just you? I mean, luckily we have some male nurses on nights as well, but it's kind of just you on PMs, isn't it?
Yeah. I don't know.
You deal with us, you handle us all right.
I just do my work.